HOA Karen damaged park bench for her stuff, got sued and paid 120 nacional. The park was my sanctuary, a quiet escape from the grind of suburban life, until Karen showed up with her oversized sunglasses and a smirk that could curdle milk. She strutted in like she owned the place, her designer heels clicking on the gravel path, and promptly claimed the best bench by the lake for her pile of shopping bags. By the end of the day, that bench beloved by the neighborhood was a splintered wreck, and Karen's name was on everyone's lips for all the wrong reasons. My name is Elena, a single mom who's lived in Willow Creek for a decade. The park's my haven, where I take my 6-year-old daughter, Mia, to play and forget the world for a while. That Saturday, the air was crisp, and the park buzzed with kids laughing and dogs chasing frisbees. I was pushing Mia on the swings when I noticed Karen, the HOA's self-appointed queen, setting up camp on the oak bench by the water. It was the community's favorite spot, where old Mr. Jenkins read his paper every morning and teens carved their initials into the wood. Karen didn't care. She dumped her bags, shooed away a couple of kids, and sprawled out like she was on a private yacht. At first, it was just annoying. Karen's voice carried over the park as she barked into her phone, complaining about her neighbor's tacky lawn decorations. But then she started rearranging the bench to suit her needs. She shoved the armrest with her bags, kicked at the slats to make more room, and when that wasn't enough, stood on the bench to adjust her sun hat, her heels digging into the wood. I winced as I heard a faint crack. Mia tugged my sleeve, whispering, "Mom, she's breaking it." I told her to stay put and walked over, hoping to reason with her. "Excuse me, Karen," I said, keeping my tone polite. "That bench is for everyone. Maybe you could move your stuff to the ground." Karen lowered her sunglasses, eyeing me like I'd just spat in her coffee. "This is a public park. Honey, I can use it how I want. Mind your business." Before I could respond, she gave the bench another kick to nudge a bag into place, and a loud snap echoed. A slat split clean in half, jagged edges poking out. A few nearby parents gasped, and Mr. Jenkins, who'd been watching from his usual spot, shook his head. Karen didn't blink. She just shrugged and said, "It was old anyway. They'll replace it." I was stunned. That bench wasn't just wood, it was where Mia and I carved a tiny heart last summer, where the community held Pick, the HOA president, approached, his face red. "Karen, you can't just destroy public property." Karen laughed, a sharp, grating sound. "Public property. Please, Tom. I pay HOA dues. This park's practically mine." Tom's jaw tightened. "You're going to regret that attitude." The next day, word of the bench spread like wildfire. Karen's stunt wasn't just a one-off. She had a history. She'd once demanded a neighbor remove a tree because it blocked her view, and she'd tried to fine another for planting unapproved roses. The broken bench was the last straw. By Monday, a group chat was buzzing with neighbors sharing stories of Karen's antics, how she'd yelled at kids for skateboarding, reported dogs for barking, and even tried to ban barbecues because the smoke ruined her vibe. I decided to act. I wasn't confrontational by nature, but Mia loved that bench, and I couldn't let Karen's entitlement slide. I called a meeting with the park committee, a small group of volunteers who maintained the green spaces. We met at the community center, where Tom revealed something shocking. The bench wasn't just any bench. It was a memorial, donated by a local family in honor of their late daughter, Sophie, who'd loved the park. The family had paid $5,000 for it, and the HOA had promised to maintain it. Karen's careless destruction wasn't just vandalism, it was personal. That's when Javier showed up, the twist no one saw coming. Javier was a quiet landscaper who'd worked in the park for years, always pruning trees and planting flowers without fanfare. He rarely spoke at meetings, but that night, he stood up, his hands trembling. "I saw what happened," he said. "Karen didn't just break the bench. She took a hammer from her car and smashed it when no one was looking. I have it on video." The room fell silent. Javier pulled out his phone and played a grainy clip. There was Karen, in her oversized hat, swinging a hammer at the bench's slats, muttering about needing space for her essentials. The video was damning. Tom's eyes widened, and the committee erupted in murmurs. Javier explained he'd been too nervous to confront her alone. He'd seen her berate others before, but he couldn't stay silent anymore. Armed with Javier's video, we escalated things. The committee contacted Sophie's family, who were devastated but furious. They wanted justice, not just for the bench, but for the principal. We filed a formal complaint with the HOA, and Tom, who'd had enough of Karen's reign, pushed for legal action. The park wasn't just HOA property, it was city-owned, meaning Karen's vandalism could carry serious consequences. The tension built over weeks. Karen, oblivious to the storm brewing, continued her usual antics, parking her SUV across two spaces and blasting music at odd hours. But the neighborhood was done. At the next HOA meeting, Sophie's family showed up, along with half the community. Karen sauntered in late, expecting to dominate as usual. But the mood was different. Tom projected Javier's video on a screen, and the room went quiet. Karen's face drained of color as the hammer swings played on loop. "You can't prove that's me," she snapped, but her voice wavered. Sophie's mother, Linda, stood up, tears in her eyes. "That bench was for my daughter. She sat there every day before she got sick. You didn't just break wood, you broke a memory." The room erupted in boos. Karen tried to deflect, claiming the bench was an eyesore and she was improving the park. But no one bought it. The city got involved, and a lawyer representing Sophie's family outlined the damages: $5,000 for the bench, plus emotional distress and punitive damages. Karen scoffed, thinking her HOA clout would save her. But the city didn't care about her status. They saw a vandal. The lawsuit hit fast. Karen hired a flashy attorney, but Javier's video was ironclad, and witnesses, myself included, testified about her entitled behavior. The court didn't just rule against her. They made an example of her. The final judgment, $120,000 covering the bench, legal fees, and punitive damages for her reckless disregard. Karen's jaw dropped as the gavel fell. She tried to appeal, but the evidence was overwhelming. The aftermath was poetic. Karen's HOA influence crumbled. Neighbors who'd once feared her wrath now openly shunned her. The city replaced the bench with a new one, engraved with Sophie's name and a plaque explaining its history. Mia and I visited often, and she traces the heart we carved, now preserved on the new bench. Karen, meanwhile, sold her house to cover the fine and moved away, her tail between her legs. Rumor has it she's still complaining about unfair neighbors in a new town, but no one here cares. The park feels lighter now, like it's ours again. Justice wasn't just the money, it was seeing Karen face the consequences of her actions. Her entitlement had ruled us for too long, but one broken bench became her downfall. What do you think? Did Karen get what she deserved? Or was the punishment too harsh? Share your thoughts below.